I am so pleased to have this opportunity, even though it's under unusual circumstances, to address the graduates of the Bishop Garcia Diego High School class of 2020. Congratulations to everybody. It is a super accomplishment. It's an amazing thing that when you think about it, going through those 4 years and coming to this successful completion. So congratulations to all of you. You know what occurred to me as I was getting ready for this talk is that we've kind of traveled this road together because I came here in 2015. So I've been here now going on 5 years. So we, have walked together. I probably first saw all of you when you were freshmen. I've always enjoyed my visits to your campus, always enjoyed talking to you. So it's a thrill for me to be able to be with you and to congratulate you on this day. Also, a very special word of gratitude to the administrators and teachers at Bishop High. Great place, great people, dedicated people. Thank you for what you've done. And then finally, a word of gratitude to the parents of the graduates. Probably more than anyone else, they've been instrumental in bringing you to this day. So congratulations. Thank you to all these good people. I want to share a very simple idea with you today. A simple idea, but I think a really profound and important one. It can be summed up in a word, and it's from my intellectual hero, St. Thomas Aquinas, the greatest theologian, philosopher in the history of the church. Thomas Aquinas talks about magnanimitas. That's in his Latin. Now we have an English rendering of that. Maybe you've heard it, the word magnanimity. Once in a while we talk about a really generous or noble act as being a magnanimous act. Well, magnanimitas, magnanimity, is from two Latin words, anima, that means soul. Magna means great, big. So magnanimitas is the state of having a great soul. I wonder, maybe in your studies you came across the founder of modern India, a man named Mohandas Gandhi. Great spiritual figure as well as a political and cultural figure. But Mohandas Gandhi is better known by his title, Mahatma, Mahatma Gandhi. Well, Mahatma is a Sanskrit word, and Sanskrit is related to Latin. Listen, Mahatma, magna anima, because they mean the exact same thing. They called Gandhi the great-souled Gandhi. Now, here's my point, everybody. Magnanimity, having a great soul, is all about a soul that stretches out toward great things. Now, I don't mean here great things in the worldly sense. Now, mind you, I got nothing against that. In fact, I savor the day when you guys become what you want to be. Great lawyers or physicians or writers or politicians or business leaders, mothers and fathers, whatever it is you want to be in the world, terrific. Off you go. You've been trained for these past 4 years, and you'll continue your education now, but you've been trained to accomplish great things in the world. Terrific. But accomplishing great things in the world is not what it's finally all about. What it's finally all about is cultivating a great soul that stretches out, now listen, toward great moral and spiritual accomplishment. What that means in a word, that stretches out toward greater and greater love. Now, I bet in the years that I have come to Bishop High and have spoken to you and given homilies, maybe I've talked about this because it's one of my favorite ideas. Love is not a feeling, primarily. Love is an act of the will. To love is to will the good of somebody else. To look beyond yourself, beyond your ego, and say, I really want what's good for someone else. To have a great soul, a magna anima, to be magnanimous, is to be finally a person of great love. Remember the Lord Jesus said, it profits a person nothing to gain the whole world and lose his soul. Everything hinges upon that. Everything. It profits you nothing to become the greatest person in the eyes of the world, to conquer the whole world and lose your soul in the process. Do you see why? Because if you lose your soul, then the world that you gain will eventually come to nothing. It'll turn to ashes. It will, in fact, turn on you because you won't know what to do with it. But if you're a person of great soul, you're a person that stretches out toward great acts of love, then whether you're wealthy or poor, whether you're famous or obscure, whether you're successful or not, you will live a rich and satisfying life. You know, it's interesting to contrast magnanimity with pusillanimity. So there's the Latin term pusilla anima. That means a little soul. We might say that, an act that's not very generous, it's not very noble, is a pusillanimous act. Now, maybe it's happened to you already, but trust me, in the course of your life, you will meet people who've accomplished great things, but they got little tiny souls. Do you know what I mean? Maybe they have all the success and the rich and the fame that you want, but you know that their souls are cramped and small. They've never stretched out to great moral and spiritual accomplishment. They're not people of great love. And turn it around. You will meet in your life people who have very little in the eyes of the world. They're not very famous, not very rich, not very successful. But they've got great souls. And what you'll find, graduates of 2020, trust me on this, what you'll find is that those people, the great souled ones, they're the ones who are really alive. They're the ones who've really found joy. In Jesus' language, they found the pearl of great price. They found the treasure buried in the field. Strive to be magnanimous, great-souled people. Here's a related idea from David Brooks. I don't know if you know that name, but he writes a lot for the New York Times, a columnist. Also written some very fine books. And he made a distinction I've always liked. It's simple and along these same lines. He said, live your life in a way that you don't seek resume values, you seek eulogy values. What does that mean? Well, maybe some of you already have put together a resume. Trust me, as you go through life, you'll do it a lot. A resume is a list of your kind of worldly accomplishments, right? And you're going to include, by the way, on your resume that you're a 2020 graduate of Bishop Garcia Diego High School. Good. That's an accomplishment. You'll list someday the college or university you graduated from. You'll begin to list all the jobs that you've had and all the awards you've received and all the honors you've been given. And that's appropriate. I mean, I've got a resume. Everyone's got a resume. It's a list of our kind of worldly attainments and accomplishments. But here's David Brooks's point. When you die and someone gets up to give your eulogy, they're not going to read your resume. Am I right? Think of the funerals you've gone to and someone's talking about the person who's died. They don't read their resume. Rather, what do they tend to talk about? The kind of person he or she was. They don't talk about their external accomplishments. They talk about the quality of their soul. So David Brooks said, and I'll repeat it to you, as you move through life, don't fuss with resume values. I mean, resumes are fine, and worldly accomplishments are fine, but don't focus on that. Focus on the eulogy values. What you hope someone will say about you when you're gone, because they'll talk about the quality of your soul. Can I leave you with a story? I wonder if I shared some of this with you. I might have, because it's one of my favorite illustrations, really, of the point I'm making. My favorite movie is a movie called A Man for All Seasons. I don't know if you've seen that film. It's from the mid-1960s. It's a great movie about St. Thomas More. Now, Thomas More was an English diplomat and writer and philosopher and also a politician who rose to the highest rank next to the king in the society of his time. He was King Henry VIII's Lord Chancellor. So a man at a very high level of worldly attainment and accomplishment. He had wealth, he had power, reputation, fame. Well, More falls into conflict with King Henry VIII because the king wanted to break with the Pope. He stood athwart the king's purposes, and for his stance, he lost first his job, he lost his wealth, he lost his home, he lost his family, he lost his freedom, and finally he lost his life. Now, why? Because he was more concerned about the quality of his soul than he was for his worldly attainments. He was a magnanimous man par excellence. Okay, there's a scene in that movie. It's not one of the most famous scenes. It's more toward the beginning of the film, but it's very telling, I think. Thomas More, this great man, is talking to a young man. He's a recent Cambridge graduate. So let's say he's 4 years older than you guys. His name, this is a real historical figure, by the way, his name was Richard Rich. Richard Rich is ambitious. He wants a position at court. He knows Thomas More is a prominent, important person, so he's hanging around him, asking for a job. Finally, More says to him, and this is the scene I'm talking about. More says, "Richard, I have a job for you." "You do?" The young man is excited. And More says, "Yeah, there's an opening in the local school. They need a teacher." A teacher? A teacher? Richard Rich said, "He didn't want that." And More tries to cheer him up. "You'd be a good teacher, perhaps even a great one." And then Richard Rich says, "If I were, who would know it?" You see, it gives away the game, doesn't it? What does he want? Not values of the soul. He wants worldly value. Who's going to think I'm great? He wants fame and reputation. Who will know it? And More answers back, yourself, your friends, your pupils, God. Not a bad public, that. And you see the point Thomas More was trying to make. Young Richard Rich, you should play not for the audience of the world. They're impressed by worldly accomplishment. You should play to the audience of God. In other words, you should live your life in such a way that the cultivation of your soul, your capacity for love, is what matters the most to you. So that's the advice I want to give to all you guys today, on this day of your graduation. Accomplish good things in the world. Terrific. Nothing wrong with that. But never forget that the prime value is cultivating a quality of soul. To be a magna anima, a great soul. Choose eulogy values over resume values. Live your life in such a way that your prime audience is not the fickle, people in the world, but rather the Lord God. Be not small-souled. Be great souls. And you'll find success in the only way that it finally matters. Because mind you, what will we carry into heaven with us? None of our resume accomplishments. We won't carry that into heaven. We will carry into heaven the quality of our souls. Keep that in mind. I think you'll find joy in life and success where it matters. God bless you all. And again, congratulations.